everybody, and welcome back to Lindsay's Little Library. So I'm here today with my May wrap up. Woo! It was a good month. I read 9 books this month. I am going to forewarn you if you hear some clickety clacking in the background. Skylar has found a couple tennis balls and is very excited about them. It's the small things, right? Anyways, I read 9 books this month. I read quite a few actually on audio. I read some ebooks. I mean, I was on a roll, and that's considering what May is. I call it mayhem because I don't know. I'm sure there's other people in the same world that I'm in, but the end of school is a blessing and a curse. Like, there's just so much going on top of so much going on top of even more going on. And then there's the things I forget about. So I somehow read 9 books. I must have been waiting for all of the things I had to take care of. Anyways, first one I want to talk about is You Shouldn't Have Come Here by Geneva Rose. This is a newer release, 3.5 stars. I think it just came out. I could be wrong. I should have looked that up. But I wanted to give Geneva Rose another try. I read The Perfect Marriage by her. I feel like there's a lot of hype around that book and I didn't quite understand the hype surrounding it, so I thought I'd give her another shot. I do enjoy her as an author. 3.5 stars is nothing to like shy about. There's just a few things in this book that I can't quite get over, and they're kind of petty, I know, but it is what it is. The term one fell swoop was used way too many times in this book. And in my opinion, the term one fell swoop should maybe be used maybe once in a book. This was multiple times and too close to each other. And I don't know if I was just, when I was talking to other people, no one else really picked up on that, but there's a comedy routine by Nate Bargatze where he talks about one fell swoop. So maybe I'm just more tuned into that saying. It is hilarious. If I think of it, I'll leave a link below to it. It's so funny. But there's just way too many one fell swoops. And then got a little slow in the middle. So basically, this woman is going to this Airbnb completely like remote, out of, like, she wants to like just disengage and unplug and just get out. And we learn right away that there's just something suspicious about where she's staying, yet there's so many, like, could it be this? Could it be that? Could it be this thing? A lot of unknowns. And then when we did find out what we found out, I kind of wished we would have known a little sooner to see the character from that perspective. I'm going to leave it at that. I don't think that spoiled anything. So those are my thoughts. Next book The next book I picked up, which I think I've talked about quite a few times, is All the Dangerous Things by Stacey Willingham. This is the second book I've read by her. I also read Flicker in the Dark, also enjoyed it. This one I went into this book pretty blind. I knew it was followed our main character, whose name is Isabel. And about a year ago, her 18-month-old son was kidnapped from his bedroom in the middle of the night. That's really all I knew going into this, and I would suggest let's just keep it at that. Don't know too much more, and go for it. I love how Stacey Willingham developed not only our current timeline, but gave us glimpses into what has happened in the past. That may or may not have led up to what is happening in the current timeline. I loved her characters. I loved the mystery around it. I just thought it was fantastic. 5 stars. Go read this book. The next book I picked up was The Golden Spoon. This is by Jessa Maxwell. Loved this book so much. And I don't know, maybe it was the timing, maybe it was just where my head was at. I just loved it. I'm not typically a cozy mystery reader, but I feel like this is a good, like, introduction into that genre. Now we have a squeaky ball. This may get to be too much. So what we have is like this perfect combination of cozy mystery set in this mansion that has a huge history and past to itself. During Bake Week, which is a reality baking competition, so we have all of our contestants there. We have multiple perspectives of the contestants, as well as multiple multiple suspects as far as who could have committed this murder that happens during this book. Just loved it. It was so fantastic. I read it so fast. It was awesome. The next book I actually listened to is Drowning by TJ Newman. I read Falling that she wrote probably about a year ago. This one centers around an airplane that actually goes into the ocean. Now, I was a bit hesitant because one of my biggest fears is drowning. The water and I don't get along. I don't like it. I'm not comfortable. So was curious as to how I was going to react to this. And I won't lie, there were times my heart was racing. But we start out in this book getting to know a few of the passengers and the crew that are part of Flight 1421. It is like any other day. Everything is normal. Shortly after they take off, though, they experience some issues with the plane and end up going down in the ocean. As I like to say, we are quickly plunged into the ocean with our characters. Anyways, love almost all the characters. You can't help but love them. And man, did this mess with my emotions. It was so good. I was so addicted. Also helped me walk quite a bit faster when I was taking Skylar for walks because you just can't help it. Anyways, highly recommend, 5 stars. Loved it. Next book I picked up was Mad Honey by Jodi Picoult and Jennifer Finney Boylan. I think so. Jodi. You know, I think I have a good idea around some social issues. I feel like I pay attention and have my mind pretty open. And then Jodi comes along and she's like, nope, let's just open that a little wider. I didn't know a lot about this book going into it, other than I was going to learn a lot about bees, which you do, which I'm completely okay with. I love how that is presented in these books. I loved learning about wolves in Lone Wolf. I love learning about elephants in Leaving Time. It just works with the way that she writes these books. But this one basically follows Olivia, Lily, and Asher. And Asher is accused of killing his girlfriend Lily. So we have the perspective of Lily, we have the perspective of Olivia, and we have the perspective of, do we have the perspective of Asher? I'm pretty sure we do. No, just Olivia and Lily. Very interesting to know, Jodi wrote one character, Jennifer wrote another character. They did swap for one chapter, so Jodi wrote the opposite character. It does mess with timeline a little bit. So go into that knowing it. If you did not enjoy the backwards timeline in Spark of Light, you might have a little bit of a problem with this one. I didn't find it problematic. I did enjoy it. My only criticism is we were thrown, there was a whole lot of polarizing issues in this book, like a lot, which I didn't think was really necessary. It didn't take away from the book. I still enjoyed it. I still gave it 5 stars. It was kind of like, oh yeah, okay, well that's in here too, and that's in here too, and shocker, that's in here too. Like, it was just a lot. Otherwise, overall, really good read. Made me think. Loved it. But not for everybody. Next one I picked up was a 5-star prediction as well as a Christmas book exchange book. This is A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. I now need to watch the movie. This book really centers around grief and follows our main character Connor as he is trying to work through some pretty traumatic things going on in his life and meets this tree that comes to life and says basically, I'm going to tell you 3 stories and I'm here because you need me to be here. I flew through this, read it in a couple of days. It broke my heart with how beautiful it was. Just fantastic. Then I did another audiobook. I told you I was like on an audiobook kick this month. I listened to Famous for a Living by Melissa Ferguson. Just a really cute, like, hate to love romance set in a national park in Montana, Wyoming, somewhere out west. We follow our main character who ends up kind of getting herself into some trouble in New York City. She is an influencer. And her uncle basically says, come live with me. You need some time away. And she ends up meeting a few of the people that work with him. understanding kind of what life is like out there. Hate to love romance is part of this. It just makes me want to go out west so bad. But I did enjoy it. 3.5 stars, solid romance. The next one I picked up was a neck LA book that I've had on my Kindle for way too long because it already came out. It is When We Had Wings. This is by Ariel Lawhon, Susan Meisner, and Christina McMorris. I gave this one 4 stars. It's a little tough to read because the copy that I was given through Neck Alley was really messed up, like bad paragraph breaks. Like it was strange. It was a little hard to get to. So I'm trying to I gave it a 4 star, even though I was thinking a little lower, but I think that it was the way it was laid out on my Kindle. I still think it's a solid story. It's World War II, but it's set in the Philippines, which I love that aspect. And we have 3 nurses who come from very different backgrounds and who are all basically there just to do what they can and however they can help. And they end up getting stuck there while the Japanese invade. So the friendship between these 3 is so fantastic. What they go through is so crazy and horrifying. Based on a true story, I'm confident. It was just a little slow at times, which is why I didn't give it 5 stars. I gave it more of a 4, but still a solid historical fiction. And the final book I picked up in May is Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. This was the book I picked over Memorial Day weekend and basically gave myself the only task was to start and finish this book on my 3-day weekend. No problem. No problem at all. This was so good. So we have our 2 main characters, Ike and Buddy Lee. I don't know why I doubt myself. I just read the darn thing. And their sons end up getting murdered. And these 2 fathers were not the greatest fathers while their sons were around, and yet make it their mission to step up when law enforcement kind of falls down, trying to figure out what happened to their sons. A little bit of trying to make up for the past in the present, trying to do what's right in their mind, dealing with the grief that they have to deal with. There's a whole lot of stuff packed into this not very big book. It is a little rough to read what they do to people on their journey of figuring out the truth. I mean, they're both ex-cons. They're both not afraid to get dirty. So it's a little rough. So if you're a little sensitive to that, be warned. But still a solid book, 5 stars. I loved it. I want to read all of his books now. Like right now. Like today. If only. So, great book. Those were the 9 books I read in the month of May. Pretty solid reading month. I mean, I'm not complaining. I would recommend each of them, just depending. It's hard to say to everybody, yes, everybody should read this book. It kind of depends on what you like, but if people are into those types of genres, I recommend all of them. So next up, or what I'm currently reading at the moment, I literally just started Wild at Heart, the 2nd book in the series by K.A. Tucker. I can't really tell much about it because I might spoil the first one, but it takes place in Alaska. I was hoping this would cool me down because it was really hot in here yesterday. It didn't work, but anyways, I still love it. I'm in the middle of Message from an Unknown Chinese Mother. This talks about a number of different stories that happened in the not so distant past with mothers in China, and kind of centering around this surge of daughters or girls getting adopted from China and kind of the reasoning behind it and what is happening. I have to take it slow because it's heavy, but I mean, it's so good, but so heavy. So we're in the midst of that. On my Kindle, I am reading I Shot by Taylor Adams and cannot get enough of it. Oh my goodness. Gosh, he's just the king of suspense. Him and then TJ Newman, they just get my heart racing. But we basically have a couple who is stuck in the middle of the desert, and there is a sniper with like them in their crosshairs, and they got to figure out how to survive. And then what am I listening to? Oh, Hello Stranger by Catherine Center. That one's really good too. Only about a third of the way into it, but it's a good audio as well. So I'm trying to keep on pace, keep moving, keep reading, keep getting through some books on my shelves. But yeah, that's kind of what's coming up in June, as well as I'm sure a bunch more. I still have my book club books to read too, so it's going to be a good month. Anyways, let me know in the comments below if there's any good books you've read in May that you want to chat about. Otherwise, like, comment, subscribe, all of that fun stuff, and I'll see you next time.